On the opening statement, huh?
Well, what was you did get pushed in one of the games down there. I'm sure you're probably not happy with the way you played in that game, but just overall, what did you get out of going to Puerto Rico?
Yeah, well, good trip, good experience, I think, for the ladies. It was mostly basketball focused because of the 3 games in 3 days doesn't allow you to go do a whole lot outside of basketball. But we did get the little excursion to Old San Juan and then had a nice dinner that night and, played on Thanksgiving Day. Luckily won. We can get to the actual game in a minute. But then we had a nice Thanksgiving meal, too, after the game. So, weather was nice. We were right on the beach in a Marriott, so it was there was some – I know they went and jumped in the water one day, too, after a game. So I think they got the experience out of it. Of course, getting the 3 wins was the business side that we wanted to get done, which we were able to accomplish that. And I think we learned a lot. I keep saying we got a lot of information about our team. Some good, some bad, some right there in between. But we did get a lot of information when you play that many games in a short period of time. But yeah, the first one was the closest of the 3, and we didn't play particularly well. But a lot of those scores were low scoring, lots of travel, new environment. I mean, just offensively, we weren't very good. But it did allow us to play a close game, which we hadn't really had other than Pitt a little bit. So some late game execution and things that still weren't exactly where they need to be, but we did enough to find a way to win and then played a little bit better offensively against Charlotte and still, we've battled defensively all year, I feel like, to give ourselves chances to win. And then Southern Illinois, who had won 2 games previously too, was playing really hard. They were without their best player, but I don't know that wasn't a bad thing necessarily for them because I thought they played with a whole new passion and energy. And they challenged us early, but, we kind of led start to finish for the most part. But, to finish the week off, yeah, we're in a good spot. Had a little bit of time off here, I guess, really like 2.5 days off, and then we'll get back at it today.
Yeah, dive into that a little bit more.
What were some of the things that you liked, and then what were some of the things that you still got to clean up?
Yeah, well, the like party was on the defensive end, I thought, throughout. I thought we battled and competed on the defensive end, and, we're defending the 3 pretty well right now, even though we're mixing our defenses and playing some zone, which typically people think you're going to give up threes when you play zone, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So I thought we've done a good job there. Offense kind of is still too inconsistent for me, so we're at times good and at times not so good, turning people over on the defensive end, which is leading to some offense, but I think we're also missing layups at a pretty high rate in transition, which is a little bit of a struggle for me right now. If we have the ability to turn people over, we need to kind of convert those a little bit more than what we're doing. Tavi Diggs was a bright spot in that last game. We had an inside presence there, so we've been working through that a little bit. But we played through foul trouble, and then Kaya got hurt, so we had to play through that. So just our ability to overcome a little bit of adversity through different, whether it was foul trouble, injury, those types of things. I thought we did a good job.
Layups, you see this on the men's side, too. It looks like a lot of times they don't even look at the rim when they go to the basket.
Is that what you're seeing? What are you seeing when you see these missed layups?
Yeah, no, I think we're looking at the rim. We're just not converting them. Yeah, you got to get it up there. You got to get it over it. A lot of times we want them to find the backboard on those layups, and there's times we're not finding the backboard. Smaller guards for us too. So at times, I don't know, maybe they struggle to score over a little bit of length. Not sure about that because it's not always those guys either. But no, it's something, even offensive rebound putbacks, like those typically happen at the rim. We're not doing a great job of finishing those either. So, yeah, we just have to put some onus on, slowing down, I think is probably what I've told them more than anything. And because we play fast, there's times you're trying to finish fast, and really at the rim you can slow down at times, but there's times like JJ slows down too much, and we want her to go ahead and just finish. So it's really just it's a balancing act for each kid, but we're going to focus on it and see if we can't do a little better job.
Pretty well, just under 20%, under 3 threes a game. So you're putting it kind of mildly there. What's been the key to the success defending that perimeter, and is it sustainable, that percentage?
Well, no, it's probably not sustainable at the rate that we're playing at right now. But no, I mean, it's something you want to do. The analytics say don't give up, layups at the rim and don't give up open threes, and so we don't want to do those two things. We may give up certain other areas from time to time, but those are things that we are okay with. And so it's just to the kids' credit. There's a scouting report and there's attention to detail to that, and knowing who can shoot and who can't, and shots that we want to give up. And so far, we're, I guess if we're giving the ones up, we're giving up the ones that we want to give up to the right kids.
It's early, but the Puerto Rico trip, I mean, that's the closest thing you can get to like a conference tournament, NCAA tournament. Is there anything to take away that you walk out of there with 3 wins with like, the travel tight schedule, like, kind of mirrors it a little bit?
Yeah, no, we talked about that a little bit, we won't ever see this again until Kansas City, in the 3 games in 3 days, and that's a difficult journey. And, for the most part, I thought we managed minutes pretty well. I thought Lauren Fields maybe was the one that we probably played a little too much the first 2 games, and she might have looked a hair tired in game 3. But, we went 3-0. The goal was to win a tournament. And so we won the tournament that we played at in Puerto Rico. The goal later in the year will be to win another tournament. But yeah, to go through the process, to prepare, we played early every game, which may happen in the Big 12 as well. So, you're basically getting up and walking through in the hotel, eat breakfast, and then you go play. So that was a little different for us to have those early tips. But we have a 10 a.m. tip coming up here too also. So yeah, we got a lot from it, but certainly helped from a structural standpoint. Kaya's day-to-day, I guess, would probably be the best way to describe it. So it's not long-term, but she's got a little work to do.
Yeah. You got St. Bonaventure on Saturday, and I'm looking at them. They're not very tall. They don't have a lot of players that they play. They don't score. What do you see from them? And then on the backside, you're looking at Penn State looming on Monday, so you got that in the back of your mind too. Just talk about how you're going to approach these next 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's our week, I guess. Although it's next Monday technically isn't this week, but for us, we're looking at it like here's the next week in front of us, and so yeah, we have those 2 opponents. St. Bonaventure, smaller, 5 out, space you, shoot it, drive it. Going to be a little bit different. They're going to be undersized, as you alluded to. 10 players, but we have 10 players, so there's it's neither here nor there, I guess, for either program at the moment. So, again, yeah, so, we'll do the deep dive into them, and we'll do the deep dive into Penn State, who's off to a phenomenal start, has the 1-point loss to USC, who I think is like 8th in the country right now, and, their freshman's probably going to be the freshman of the year and averaging dang near 30 a game, and so they have 2 Big 12 wins already. They beat Kansas and Oklahoma State, so we'll get everything we want probably and more on Monday, and we'll start that prep here soon too.
I was going to say that one's going to be most similar to what you're going to see in the Big 12 up to this point.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Pitt gave us the other Power 5 look. They've struggled a little bit since, and so yeah, Penn State is the big one, and we played them a year ago at their place and got beat. So there's some of that as well, plus these common opponents that we'll have later in the year. So yeah, I think they play tonight or tomorrow as well, and then they'll get they'll have plenty of days to prepare for us. So yeah, we got to get better. We learned a lot from our trip, so we have plenty to clean up between now and then and another game. So I don't want to look too far ahead, but yeah, certainly we know that's the second game to our week.
The tip time adjusted. I'm sure it's because of the soccer match going head to head. You went backwards. Was that to maybe get a couple extra hours off your legs to do that? Was it to accommodate St. Bonaventure? What was the thought?
Yeah, probably all of the above. Yes, it was moved because of soccer, and let them have their moment too, and they deserve that. With that game, and let's move to the front end. I mean, we could have maybe moved it to the back end. I don't think St. Bonaventure wanted to do that. They wanted to play earlier, which is fine to get home, and it's fine by me too. Sometimes those late games, yeah, you do get to recover. You don't sit around all day and have to think about the game as a coach, and we have plenty of time to prepare. So from a preparation standpoint, it won't affect anything. So it just made more sense.
Back a little bit to the 3-point defense. You mentioned that sometimes maybe there's a misnomer when you play zone, you're going to allow threes. Is it possible that it's better to play zone defending?
Well, I mean, I think it probably just depends on how good you are at both, right? I mean, you can just have conviction to what you do is what I've always said as a basketball coach. If you want to play zone, play zone. And here's what I've said. People that play man, when they give up threes, they don't get out of their man defense, right? But people that play man and then play a possession of zone and they give up a 3, they go right back to man defense, right? So just be convicted in what you do. We have a system. We have a structure. If we defend right, we should be able to take away the 3 regardless if we're playing man or zone. If you make a mistake in either one of your defenses, you may give up a 3. We're making a few mistakes, but luckily people haven't been able to convert. So we still have some work to do, but for the most part, we're doing a pretty good job just giving up the 3s if we give one up that we want to give up and who we want to give them up to. And so that's really what it is probably more scout specific and types of shots we're looking to give up.
Watching that zone, it's not a stand around zone, it's an aggressive zone. That's the style you want to play with that, right?
Oh yeah, no, this is who we are, this is what we do, and we've been about pressure and turnovers and steals and just making the offense uncomfortable, taking them out of what they, naturally want to do. I just have never wanted to just watch somebody walk into a half-court possession and run offense and let a pass dictate, the flow, because one pass typically dictates the next and the next, or the action at least. And so, yeah, just trying to make people uncomfortable. If it leads to those turnovers and steals, then fantastic. If not, then we're going to grind it out and finish the way the possession that we're supposed to.
Just convert on those steals.
We do a little bit higher. I mean, we're converting at a pretty high rate, but it could be, because I think we're like 8th in turnovers, something like that, but our conversion rate is like 31st.
Say once before you wanted to get I can't remember what the number was. There was a specific number you wanted to get off of turnovers in offense. Was it 12 points or was it something like that?
Probably even ideally a little bit more than that. It's really what point per possession. So how many of those do you get, and then what do you convert at? What's your conversion rate? And so that's when I give you that number, that's where we're at. We're like 8th in one, but 31st in the conversion rate. Well, that's the problem. Like if we're 8th in turnovers, we need to be around 8th in the conversion rate. And so that's where we're just not quite where we need to be yet.
Conceivably, it could be as much as 18 to 20 a game if you convert the way you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like 14 or 15 steals. Something. Do you remember what we're at right now? 14, maybe something like that. Steals a game. So you're talking, it could be significant. And that won't happen every night. So you got to have other ways to win too. So I want to be careful knowing or thinking that we always are just going to turn people over and rely on that, because there'll be games where we don't do that. Like Southern Illinois, it was game 3 in 3 days. We looked a little tired. We did not just quite have our normal juice, but we found a different way to win. And so we want to be able to do that. I think the way we play with the press zone, we can play multiple defenses. Each game may dictate a different approach. We may play differently against St. Bonaventure than the game plan for Penn State. So just being multiple.
I guess the last thing here, the next question for you is going to be dealing with size. You did it with Pitt a little bit, probably more on Penn State. So that's the next question you're going to have in the back of your mind, right? How you can deal with that. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, we're continuing to work through that. It's going to be a battle all year long. Even some of the mid-major programs have, we don't have crazy good size. We're not small, but we don't, we're not huge by any stretch. And Penn State has a 6'4" post kid, and then they're not quite as big after that. And they'll play 4 guards at times too. So, it may not necessarily be that game, but it's coming at some point.
Youngstown, but you ran her and got her out of the game pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's other ways to take away post players too. So you can have a dominant post, but they need help, right? Post players need help. Guards have to get them the ball. You can press and take time off a clock, and then that limits that post player's production in the paint because the ball is down at the other end for 10 seconds. Even if you don't get a steal, that's 10 less seconds you're defending that kid near the rim. So lots of different ways to take away post players.
Backcourt combinations. I think preseason it was either JJ and Jordan or Lauren and Jordan. You were saying when they were on the same scrimmage team, things were working out. Is that translating to the season? Like all the rotations you guys had said preseason is the vision that you're seeing?
Yes. I mean, I'm still kind of working through that a little bit. But for the most part, yes. I mean, that Jordan and JJ combo is pretty good. It's dynamic. They're quick. They're small. They're hard to keep in front of you. Jordan's been really good, I thought, here early. Her just ability to run the offense, because she's been in it longer, just makes things flow a little bit better. But both of them are elite on-ball defenders. Lauren is too. So I think we have the 3 kids, right, that are all averaging 2.5 steals or more, and there's one of 3 teams in the country that have 3 of those. So they're elite defenders, but Jayla Hemingway is an elite defender. Kaya Watson is elite on the perimeter. So we can really guard on the perimeter. So it's still trying to figure out, who still plays well together, what post plays well with those guards. So I think I'm still working through that one a little bit. Would like for a few more kids to just have some little more consistency for me, just to help me and help themselves a little bit. But that crew of Jordan and Lauren and JJ for the most part has been pretty good.
Does analytics dictate who plays together? I know Josh mentioned on the men's side, there are 2 guys that analytics say don't play together. Do you have any of that data, or do you even pay attention to that? Who plays well together and who doesn't?
We have it. We look at it. I think it's a little early in the year to get caught up too much in the lineup analytics. We probably need another 4 or 5 games to really have a great evaluation of that. But no, it's something after 6 games. We took a hard look at analytics yesterday. From all sorts of different, from lineups to offense to defense to all sorts of stuff. So, again, we don't do it after every game, but after every, 4 or 5 handful of games, I think it's worthy of studying.
Anything that jumps out at you immediately that you're willing to share, or is there?
Yeah, not really. That I probably really want to dive too much into, some of which we've probably already covered. And a lot of times analytics is just telling you what you are. It's just confirming what your eye tells you. very rarely do I think we dig into it and be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Most of the time it's like, okay, I kind of thought that was probably the case, but I'm glad that lets me know. The analytics sometimes, or the lineup analytics, can kind of maybe catch you off guard. Probably. Here's what we do well, and here's where we may be struggling a little bit. But it's good just to see it. And, there's just so much to those analytics. We have to have help almost deciphering some of it right now, because they can give you, so much. So I don't want to get married to it, but I certainly want it, because I think all information is knowledge, and then we'll figure out what to do with that.
What was different in Tabby's performance against Southern Illinois than, I guess, maybe every other game to this point?
Yeah, well, Tabby had her night. She career high it in points and rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. So she had a night. But honestly, we just gave her the ball. We just have to continue to trust everybody and trust our team and trust our post players through the guards, and post trust the guards. But they didn't have any size necessarily either. So they were 6 foot, 6'1" in the post, same size as Tabby, maybe even a hair smaller. So, but she felt comfortable, and we got her space. And to Tabby's credit, she made them pay for the space they gave her, but we gave her the ball in the right spots too, where she could be pretty good. And she actually left 4 or 6 points out there too, I think, because she missed a couple layups that she probably would like to have back. But it was a solid performance. We need more of it.
Is there someone, and it might be Tabby, that you see needing to step up if Kaya misses a couple of games? Like, it might not even be at the same position, it just opens it up for someone else or anything like that?
Yeah, it's just always a snowball when something, if Kaya were out for an extended period of time, that moves Kylie probably more to the 4, and then you're talking about a Tabby, Tirza probably would need to play Donnell, and may need to play Donnell regardless a little bit more, just because of her size and ability to take up some space and help maybe rebound a little bit. But yeah, it's just a snowball effect. It could be a Messiah Hunter that may have to play the 4 a little bit more, or heck, we could even throw Jayla Hemingway over there if we wanted to, because that kid's pretty versatile. She could play about 3 different positions. So yeah, just a snowball. I don't know that it's any one particular player, but Tirza finally got some minutes, and we're getting her in a little bit better shape. And she's not quite where she needs to be yet, but she's working through it.
Any more questions for Coach?
Good. Okay. Thanks, guys.